Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio, so today I am showing you another fun little Japanese promo card that's coming out in the near future. It is Latias, and I need to be very careful in this video because I do have a terrible habit of getting Latias and Latios confused. Now, Latias is a psychic Pokemon, which means you are hitting weakness against Garbodor, which is a good thing, as well as things like Espeon, but of course it's also weak to Psychic. Having said that, 100 HP, let's face it, Garbodor's going to be getting an easy KO and there's not really very much you can do about it. Now, I should say that being a promo means we don't know how we're getting this Latias yet. It could be in a free pack blister, or it might just be put into a future set. We'll have to wait and see. Latias has 100 HP, which, to be honest, for one of these mythical legendary basics is not great, but I suppose it's not terrible. Retreat of 1 is always nice because it just means you can get out the active nice and easily. Now, there is an ability here. All of your Latios have 0 retreat, and this of course makes sense. Latias and Latios are a pair, they help each other out. And there is a Latios coming in Shining Legends, which we will talk about in a minute, but I happen to think that these cards look like they make quite a nice pair. Promo Latias, Shining Legends Latios, but they fit quite nicely together. Obviously, free retreat is always a good thing, but it is very, very specific. Now, we've seen that Ultra of the Moon sees a little play for the free retreat. We've seen that Floatstone sees a monumental amount of play for the free retreat. So we've been shown in the Pokemon trading card game over and over again, the free retreat is a good thing. But of course, in order to take advantage of this, you've got to be playing both Latias and Latios, or else Latias giving Latios free retreat is kind of irrelevant. So we need to see what the attack does here. Well, it is for just 1 psychic energy. Now, slightly annoying it's psychic, not colourless, but you can always take it into these Garbodor, Espeon decks, etc. 30 damage and heal 30 from each of your benched Pokemon. Now, this might sound a little bit familiar. It's basically Manaphy EX's attack, except you're not giving up 2 prizes. It costs 1 energy instead of 2, but it only does 30 damage, not 60. This is a great attack. Manaphy had one really good use, and this was before the previous rotation, and it was against Trevenant Break. Trevenant Break does 30 damage to all Pokemon in play. If you can heal 30 damage from each of your bench Pokemon, okay, you're still taking the 30 yourself, but that's a 4-hit KO. We're okay with this. I should mention at this point the Trevenant drops damage counters rather than doing damage, so it doesn't hit with weakness, it is just free, even though he's Psychic and you're weak to Psychic. This is where Latias comes in. We saw in the final of the German National Championships last season that there was a Trevenant Break deck against a Water Box deck, and Manaphy just swung that matchup well out of Trevenant's favour. So if you are ever worried about a deck that spreads damage around, Latias has got your back. Now you might be thinking, hang on a second, Ross, Trevenant Break is only legal in Expanded at the moment. True. And even when it's legal in Expanded, you know, Giratina's a pretty good counter to that because it means that Trevenant loses his ability if he Break Evolves. True. But how about the promo Tapu Koko? That is seeing a huge amount of play at the moment. It's seeing play in an awful lot of decks because of the free retreat and the good attack. Well, that does 20 damage to all Pokemon on your side of the field. So Latias is going to heal all of that damage straight off again. And it's a 5-hit KO. So if your opponent tries using a strategy involving Tapu Koko here, well, that's absolutely fine. And the best part is, because they're doing 20 and you're healing 30, then actually they do 20. Oh, I don't have a Latias ready. They do 40 to everything. You heal 30 to go down to 10. They do 20, so everything goes up to 30. You heal again, so you're actually healing in 2 turns what they're dealing in 3. This is where Latias comes in. 30 damage, meh, little bit rubbish. But the healing here is beautiful. Now, you might not have chance. So, for instance, if you want another analogy here, this is basically Rough Seas. And we've all seen a whole bunch of decks from Mega Manectric all the way through to Seismitoad and Lapras in more recent times, who have had great fun doing some damage, tanking some hits, retreating and using Rough Seas. Latias does the same thing here, although I do have to warn you that Latias only has 100 HP. Against something like Trevenant Break or Tapu Koko, where they're not doing much damage to you, you will have plenty of time to heal the bench. But if you're against a Pokemon like Garbodor, for instance, who's doing 120 to your Pokemon, so you're taking the 120, putting up a new attacker, Latios is not going to get 4 turns to heal everything. It's going to be KO'd very, very quickly. But this is a classic card to keep in mind, because if you ever have trouble with stuff like Tapu Koko, I mean, for instance, if you're playing something like Vespiquen, then the combination of Tapu Koko spreading 20 to everything, and then Espeon EX coming and devolving everything with your 40 HP Combees is really bad. Latios could save you from this. And yes, I know Vespiquen's being rotated, but it's just an example of the kind of matchup in which Latias could be incredibly useful. So, I did an apology video for Jirachi the other day, because I'd done a video saying he was useless, and people said, hey, that's not really fair. And in that video, I admitted that maybe Jirachi was good. In my negative video, I also bagged a little bit on Latios. So, given that Latias gives Latios free retreat, let's have a quick look. 110 HP, weakness to Psychic, 1 retreat, it's all looking fairly similar. But for 2 colourless energy, 30 damage, and 30 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And then Psychic double colourless, 70 damage. Again, this is not terrible. I just think it's a weaker version of Tapu Koko. Is there any merit in having both of these out together? Now, we all like free retreat attackers, because if you start with them, you can retreat into what you want. If your Pokemon gets KO'd, you can put up a free retreater, so that you can then take your time to decide what you want to have active the following turn. Now, we all know nowadays that Floatstone is a lot less safe than it used to be because of Field Blower. So what you could do here is play Latios if you're playing Latias anyway. And there's 2 things that you get from playing Latios if you're already playing Latias. Number 1, you have a free retreater, and we love free retreaters. It's one of the things that makes Tapu Koko so good. Number 2, now we're not going to talk about the second attack, it's rubbish. But the first attack here, 30 damage, this attack does 30 more to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This is really useful in terms of taking KOs. If you do 100 damage to a Garbodor, this gets the KO on the bench. Now, if it did just 10 more damage, I'd like it an awful lot more, because of course, Trubbish. Trubbish here has 70 HP and a weakness to Psychic. You're not getting the KO with that. And although you will be getting the KO with, say, a Professor Kukui, if it did 40, then with a Professor Kukui, you could KO stuff like Rowlet, Fomantis, Eevee, Alolan Vulpix, etc. So if this did 40 rather than 30, I'd be a much bigger fan. I like Latias. Let me be clear about this. I think Latias is great for this attack because there are some situations in which healing 30 from all the bench will completely neutralise one of your opponent's strategies. I love it. I don't like Latios, but if you're playing Latias anyway, then you get a free retreater with an occasionally useful attack that can hit the bench. I can see people playing Latios if you're already playing Latias to give it the free retreat. Still not a huge fan, but Latias, he's getting free Wassies from me. I've always said that free Wassies means stick a copy in your binder. You might want to use it in the future. Hello, that is exactly Latias. You might play Garbodor Espeon in 20 different tournaments. And then one tournament you're expecting a lot more Tapu Koko or another Pokemon that's going to spread damage. In comes Latias to win the game. But if you disagree with me, ladies and gentlemen, well, that's what the comment section is there for. Go nuts. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter @TheWassie, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio if you want some live action. And if you want to support the channel, get some bonus pods, etc., then check out patreon.com/PTCGRadio. The most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.